team.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We represent the Research Society from the Czech Republic, and we are also volunteers from non-government organization Amiga from Prague. My name is Mila, and my colleagues Elizaveta and Sofiya. We would like to start our presentation with our favorite expression concerning the current situation of youth unemployment all over the world. The next one. We are entering the era of youth unemployment, which, if left unaddressed, will put a brake on economic growth around the world and will fundamentally change the way we approach workforce challenges. And during our presentation, we will talk about the current situation. We will observe the situation of unemployment in the Czech Republic and present possible ways to make the rates of youth unemployment lower on the basis of best practices of youth unemployment in the Czech Republic. And I will start with observing the youth unemployment situation in the Czech Republic. And unemployment became a visible problem in the Czech Republic on the labor market in the Czech Republic in the beginning of the crisis in 2009. And in this period, significantly increased unemployment also increased the youth unemployment. And as you can see from the graph, there is a correlation between the overall unemployment and youth unemployment. But at the same time, as you can see, the situation in Czech Republic is quite good, was quite good and still is good. The average rate of unemployment is under the average unemployment of European Union countries. And during the period of the crisis, during the period before the crisis, in 2004 and 2008, the Czech Republic had a steady economic growth, and we had low level of unemployment. It was 8.3% in 2004 and it dropped to 4.4% in 2008. And at this time, a lot of experts and economists called the Czech Republic, the Czech Republic was like a benchmark for youth unemployment. And in 2007 and 2008, the situation for young people on the labor market was relatively good, and as I said before, the youth unemployment rate were below the European Union average level. And since the economic crisis, in 2007, the Czech economy entered to a recession, and youth unemployment in Czech Republic grew rapidly since this time. And from 9.9 in 2008, it becomes to 16.7% in 2009. And it reached 18.1% in 2011, and now we have a youth unemployment around 20%. But I wanted to say that the situation in Czech Republic is better than in other European Union countries.
Okay, so here you can see the map of Czech Republic, and this is a region on which we were focused on. So it's central Bohemian part and the capital city Prague. Okay. Here you can see exactly this part and on which districts we were focused on in our research. So firstly, I would like to say about our questionnaire results. You already heard about it from another country. So we had 300 respondents. And firstly, we became with online questionnaire, but the rate of respondents was so low, so we had to print it out and make this research survey personally. with questionnaires. Most of respondents was from Prague, the main city. It's around 30%, and from another districts there were around 7% from each of district. Here you can see the separation by the gender. Okay. Here is a separation by age. 80% of respondents are already on the legal age, they're 18 years and more, and we have women some in more amounts than men. Okay, half of respondents had already their secondary graduation, and 89 respondents had at least secondary graduation or another graduations like college or high school education. Okay. 70% of them already had some job experience, but it was mostly different students' jobs like summer job or part-time job as a student or temporary job. Most of our employed young people have gotten their job by sending CVs, and a little bit less of them got it by help of friends and family. We also asked young people what do they think about reasons of youth unemployment in our country, and most of them thought that it's about that the reason is lack of experience. A little bit less thought that the reason is economic crisis, and some of them think that young people don't know how to enter to the labor market, so they need help with them firstly. Okay. Also, we asked about best practice which are possible, and most of young people think that different educational institutions have to cooperate with the business sector, so it will help. And other thought that that the government should make some special places for youth, and that labor market should be somehow made like adaptation for youngest.
And one of the significant parts of the research were conducting interviews with 5 groups of people, and I would like to start with the unemployed youth. And this is a quote from an unemployed young person, Katerina, which has a bachelor degree in economics, and she was basically saying that we have so much knowledge that in fact means nothing, but we don't have any qualification. I would like to comment on that because a lot of young people in Czech Republic, and especially in this region, have an economic or humanistic degree. However, they have difficulties with finding a job. A proper job is and at least something where they can implement their professional skill they gained during their education. And they were also commenting on the lack of experience that they can show to employer to attract him to get a job. And 70% of the respondents had previous employment. However, 54 of them had only summer job and 48 had temporary job. And after analyzing the temporary job market in our region, we came to the conclusion that basically these jobs are not professional. These are like receptionists, cash desk operators, waiters, and all this, where you can't gain professional experience. You can only get some salary and some basic skills, how to go with customers, and after these jobs you have a little chance to find a good job where you can show your professional skills. So employed people were describing the process of finding a job very hard, exhausting, and high competitive. And here is a quote from our employed interviewee, that mostly companies don't even invite people for interviews. They're receiving hundreds of CVs for one position. And unfortunately, there is a tendency in our region also when employers ask people to come to the interview and then they find someone and they are just canceling the interviews. So I think there is, they're destroying hope in these persons and they're just quitting, looking for jobs, a lot of them. For example, for the jobs according to their degrees, and they are just going to much lower positions like waiters and all this stuff. And I would like to mention that it's also proven by the questionnaire, as 58% of our respondents said that there are jobs, but there is a high competition on the market, and this is very unfortunate. So our NGO interviewers mentioned that a lot of people now are orientating on the social services. Basically what social services are, that workers of social care, which are redressing, feeding the seniors, homeless people, and handicapped, disabled people. And I think this is an act of desperation because you get low salary, you get basically no experience, and this is not what you were preparing for while you were studying. Also, what was mentioned in the interviews, that the main firms in the region, for example, the firms in the region of Kutna Hora, like Foxconn and Philip Morris, which are the very major firms in the, not only in the region, but in the central Bohemia region, they were willing to take students or young people only for work on shifts, like 12-hour shifts, which is very tiring, which is very low paid, and you can basically gain no experience to get promoted to some better work. And young people just flew to bigger cities where is the high competitive area like Prague or the biggest city in the Kutna Hora region, which is Kolin. And also I would like to mention that some of the firms are taking handicapped people because of the benefits they can gain from this from the state. And this is, I think it's very awful and unethical. So there were also experts, labor market experts, not only theorists like professors and teachers, but only people who are practicing with the youth unemployment and encountering it in their life. And basically they were saying that young people live in their ideal world for a long time and they are not ready for the hard reality. So the reason which it was mentioned by all the experts during the interviews, it was the lack of self-management of young people. So young people sometimes don't have particular skills to even start looking for a job. So all of the experts were saying that there are basic important skills for young people to have, like making a good CV and developing their presentation skills and basically good manners, how to come on time, to speak very nice Czech language or English language and etiquette, and also being active, because a lot of people just lose their hope and just don't even look for something. And also the last group is the business representatives, which were basically saying that young people, when they come to their company, they have very high salary expectations, and they have low expectation about the workload. So they don't want to do much, but they want to have a really high salary. And also the insufficient self-management, which is the basic problem from this point of view. And also, the one reason why big firms don't want to hire young people is that young people are more willing to explore different opportunities before settling. So basically they can come to the firm, gain some experience from this firm, and then go to other firm or maybe start their own business. And this is basically bad for firms, and they don't want to spend money on young people. Also, the possible reason is that young people have lower opportunity cost for resigning because they don't have any dependence on them, so they don't have to pay for their families, for their children, and they can just leave and start their other education, for example, master degree or PhD, something that they think is more relevant than the work. Yeah, and basically, to sum up all the reasons, I want also mention that all of the experts and young people and our NGO representatives were saying that the financial crisis had affected the youth unemployment really much, and also that young people are now very risk group in this field. And now I think girls will talk about the best practices in this field.
Okay, thank you. Now we will continue with best practices in Czech Republic, and I would like to start with the practice that was developed by CHMKOS, which is Czech Moravian Confederation of Trade Unions, and they have a large number of solutions to tackle youth unemployment, which include strengthening active employment policy, and mainly through financial resources. Then they strengthening the employment offices. They always make some meetings and seminars, and also they also fighting against the illegal employment of young people. And the next point is that they supporting lifelong learning and the development of science and technology through courses and training of student and staff. And also they always involve some social partners through the project, such as business authorities, investors, entrepreneurs, and public and state authorities. And now we will continue with our next best practice, which is Škoda Auto.
Okay, in Czech Republic you have a good opportunity in technical or engineer studies, and you can get a job just away after your graduation. So this example is Škoda Auto company. It's a very big company in Czech Republic and one of the most important and fastest growing in our country. Okay, and this school is the first and the one school in Czech Republic, the one university, which was founded especially for the company. So students or graduates who already had their degree, they can go and work just after university at this company. This school offers above all employability, professional experience, which is very important, and teachers and their lecturers are people who works as a company, so they're really experts at this. Okay, and at the graph you can see graduate students with bachelor degree. Almost half of them goes after with their degree to master's studies. It's about 56%, and 46% of them already have their job. Okay, and with master's degree, it's a better situation. 98% of graduates from Škoda Auto University had already their job, and mostly it's in Škoda company, but also in another international companies and other companies in Czech Republic. And in this year, 2013, Škoda Auto has a new project. This project is a program and it's an effort to promote the popularization in elementary schools, technical, different fields, because in Czech Republic it's a big problem that not very big amount of people go to technical fields. And this project is about procurement equipment for schools and about different lessons and different activities and programs about technical fields. So it's for children and it's in the region. Okay.
And as a quick conclusion, I would like to say that this is a challenge for a state now to fight the youth unemployment. However, I think that there are no best practices from the state, and we need to attract attention from not only the state but also the European Union to the making the social benefits, reverting the social benefits which unemployment young people are getting to the workplaces. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. So now you can raise your questions.
Okay, do you have questions?
But you definitely had your coffee.
It would be interesting for me to know if you have any data about the percentage of those students or youngsters who work abroad or want to find jobs abroad. Can you tell me something about this tendency? Because in Hungary it's more and more popular.
I'm not sure if I now can say the percentage, because basically a lot of people are orientated on different fields within the Czech Republic. However, I think it will be not so much, like 15% of the graduates which go abroad, and it's basically they go to Germany and to the USA.
More questions? Comments?
I'd like to shortly comment the last remark about the technical education. I've been examined those graduates of technical universities who look for the job. And it turned out that, in fact, at least in Poland, that's the situation, that there is no unemployment problem between those who graduated from the technical universities. That it seems to me that partly an answer for the problem of youth unemployment is to encourage more youth to take technical education.
Can I comment on that?
Okay.
Yeah, yes, basically you are true, and there is unfortunately a trend for the liberal education, like humanistic education, like economic, media and marketing, and this market is fully crowded with these people. And however, this trend is hardly reversible, because there is, I don't know, a PR campaign of these fields, and I think that the state and the public sector are not attracting enough attention to the technical fields.
I think Hungary can serve as a good example that this trend which you are telling about, it's not, it can be reversed. As far as I know, in Hungary, all university students will have to pay for education, no matter public education or private education. But there are some faculties which are supported by the state, or which will be supported by the state, and they are between very few. They are technical universities. And I think that in this way, the government wants to support those students and encourage more young people to take technical education. Okay. That there are some solutions, and maybe that can be the best practice.
In Czech Republic, we have all the state universities free education.
Yeah, we have a free education in the Czech Republic, and unfortunately, if making the education payable, we will attract less attention, for example, for medical universities, which is no good for the country. And I don't think that it will work like this. This particular best practice will work in Czech Republic. However, we will do a further research and find something for this situation.
So I wouldn't say that it's best practice. In Hungary, I see this situation from another view, but there are some experts here who are working at colleges in the higher education, so they may be, or students, so they might know it better, but yeah, so we have the right for education, and I think the government, how to say, control it, and it's not fair.
I just want to see a good side of this regulation. What people can, or what state can benefit out of it. It's external point of view, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, actually, also, I don't think it's very good practice. Or I mean, it's like really like desperation when you decide to make everything payable for people. Because also, I think it is very responsible work. This technical, yes. So just if people go there only because they don't have to pay, I don't expect there will be very good specialists at the end. But I just wanted to comment about the Czech Republic, that there are, of course, there are some major measures who can make this it's easier to, and at least to get into these technical universities, because in comparison with, for example, this medical or humanitarian, there are almost sometimes it's even no proper exams, because it's easier to get to these technical schools, but of course then it's quite difficult to study because it requires a lot of skills. But at least it is an attempt to as you say, that maybe it's a little bit better not to make it payable, but at least to decrease this threshold so people can get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, for example, the government in Hungary reduced the free places, because there are still free places. Students don't have to pay at the universities. They have scholarships, or they can go for scholarships. And the government decreased very, how to say, tremendously the places in higher education, mainly for lawyers and mainly for economists, or in PR, marketing, so on. But there are a lot of different faculties or subjects which were decreased. And what is very interesting, that last year the applications were with 30,000 less in Hungary going for higher education. So it's somehow for me it's shocking that what will happen with those 30,000 young people But what is more funny, that a lot of Hungarian students can study in Denmark, in the UK for free. So it's not really solving or treating the problem. It's how I see it's rather the treatment of the governmental budget. Okay, more questions, comments? Okay, so thank you very much.